Good afternoon, YouTubers. Here we are. We're going to be talking about our energy backup system. And let's start. Let's put this on a show mode and let's see how well it behaves. There we go. So it's interesting. Back in 2010, Barack Obama, during the State of the Union speech, he said something that's something like this, that the nation that leads clean energy will be the nation that leads to the global economy. That was 2010. I don't know where we stand right now. It's kind of interesting things how things change. Uh, Now they want to tax the sun, and to be fair, if you use the grid as your backup batteries, then it's fair that they charge you. But charging everybody, even if you are not using the grid, that's greedy. That's bad. That's bad. Now, why here in Puerto Rico we need a backup system, an energy backup system? Well, very simple. This is what called the Hurricane Bell. I don't know whether you see Puerto Rico, but I guess it's somewhere here. I can see part of Cuba here, but you cannot even see it. So we are in the middle of all this hurricane, and this bell has been tracked since 1851. So there's a lot of hurricane have gone through, even one that even hit Russia somewhere here. That's weird. Hurricane that far away. Anyway, other had hit France. Oh my! So anyway, you know there's an idea here that where we are definitely need to be prepared for the worst. This is a picture of Hurricane Maria that was September 18, and this is the image of Hurricane Maria. And here we are, and I believe this one here was the name was Jose. So Maria was after Jose. That's so. Anyway, uh, we were hoping that Maria moved north, or in the best case moved north, because if it moves south, I mean, either uh, RD or Cuba will be, or Jamaica will be hit hard. So we don't want that for nobody. Uh, but we know the story. Maria did not move forward, did not move up, did not move down. It went straight through a city named here Yabucoa, and it come out right here through Arecibo. So it really pound Puerto Rico very, very hard. Some information about Hurricane Maria. That was September 20, 2017. And the word said, devastating the island and plunging all its 3.4 million residents into a desperate humanitarian crisis, just to say the least. Maria made landfall in Puerto Rico, just south of Yabucoa. And here's some of the few. I mean, there's thousands of pictures that you can pick about the devastation of Hurricane Maria. But there are few that really strike you up, like, for example, how it take tower lines and they mangle it to the point of no return. I mean, you don't know what the hell happened here. Extremely sad when I saw this. This is in the area of Humacao. This was a solar farm. I believe that this solar farm was about 90 megawatts, and half of it, this part here that was hit hard, was about some 50, I believe, 50 megawatts. and it was pretty much destroyed. I mean, it's sad to see this, very sad. Anyway, here's the destruction on the grid, poles cut in half, lines on the floor, everything, you know, the grid, the grid all messed up. Really sad, really, really sad. Now, here's a face to all this. And a face this is what it's all about. I mean, this is how sad it was the day after the hurricane. Even today, the number of people that die after Maria are being, you know, are being analyzed. 4,644 people died after Hurricane Maria. That was an estimate, and what's behind this number was the fact that the official death toll at the time, they were saying that was 64, and they kept this number for a while. And when everybody knew about it, that the number was a lot higher, and what happened is we start to learn the fact is that people not directly die from the hurricane. Maybe these are the people that really die directly, but indirectly, we have a lot of people that pass away. Here's a picture. You have Grandpa. Grandpa is about 80 years old, and he has his, you know, heart condition, his high blood pressure condition, diabetes, and all of that. And so he's kind of forced to eat whatever he can, even military food. Those are MRE food. And they might be good for young soldiers, but here you put Grandpa to eat all that type of food, and his condition would get worse. And eventually, within a month or so, he passed away, he died, and the doctor write in his note, well, it's natural causes, you know, he died of a kidney failure or whatever. But the truth of the matter is that he was indirectly related, I mean, his death was related to the Hurricane Maria. So the numbers has to be put in perspective of the amount or how many months we are counting after Maria, because some study put the numbers to February of 2018 and other to December. So the truth is that the numbers that they are really debating is about 3,000. Anyway, there's a lot of people that pass away due to the struggling with after Hurricane Maria, not during Maria, but afterward. And that's what this is all about: how to be better prepared to avoid the lack of living living quality. You know, that's the main point of this project. I love this picture. This picture tells everything, and it was in the news. I only share with you guys because it's an iconic picture of the resilience of the Puerto Rican people. As you can see, there's a roster, a fighter cock with what they call it, machete, the gas can for the genset. Try to, you know, grab your house to protect it, fixing it in the middle of the hurricane, and your flag, Puerto Rican flag, and you are in the middle of a hurricane. That's how resilient we have to be just to stay here in Puerto Rico. But this picture tells everything about it. I really like it. It's one of those pictures that is hard to forget. Anyway, here's my system. This is the system that I proposed 2 years ago for many folks that went through the struggle of not having electricity for many, many days. I come out with a simple system because the main purpose of this system altogether was to maintain some uh, living, quality living condition. And here's my refrigerator, which is the most important aspect of the whole thing. You can power other stuff, perfect, great. So the main idea is we install 6 solar panel. They're small. They're about, each one is about 240 watts for a total of 1400 watts. Energy wise is about 6.5 kilowatt hour per day at 85% efficiency. Solar radiation in the area that I provide this lecture was about 5.3 hours where we are. And so I showed them how to put the whole thing together, a combiner box, a good inexpensive charge controller, and the batteries, the size of the battery sizing, some breaker for condition, and inverter. The one that I'm showing here is a new inverter that I have. I used to recommend another one, which was about 3,000 watts. It's called a reliable inverter at that time. And I will tell you a story about it later on. Anyway, but so that's my system. Most people only have one line of battery. In my case, you can see that I have 3 lines of battery, but there's a long story behind this. I will make it very, very short. So I have, this is my new bank of batteries that was installed 2018, but I have these batteries since Hurricane Maria. Battery bank 1 and 2, they're about 7 years old. And they're deep cycle batteries, 6 volts, 230 amp hours, sold by Sam. And battery bank number 3 have 2 years. This is the newest. They are Deca batteries, 6 volt, 230 amps as well. So the question is, how can you put 2 very old banks with a new one? You see, because that's the idea. And everybody that knows a little bit about this, you know that the batteries will balance out. In other words, if this battery, being the newest, has a higher voltage than this one, this battery will charge this one. So you will lose energy here to charge this one. And at the end, all batteries will be at the same voltage. And so that's the point. So in an ideal world, since each bank was about 230 amp hours, that would be about 695 amp hours total for a 30% deposit charge, 208. That's more than enough that I need. I have to say now that in reality, Bank 1 and Bank 2, these 2 banks are too old. They are pretty much out of service. The voltage go under 48 volts, and as soon as you put a load on them. So they're not good. So I'm doing the night shift basically with this set of batteries down here, which has basically about, I would say 71, but it's a little bit higher. I'm taxing these batteries a little bit higher than that, but that's the idea. So how I protect my new bank from these greedy 2 guys here? Well, simple. You protect them under some diode protection. See, sounds like a witness protection, but now some diode protection, so that energy coming from this my new bank of battery will not go back and try to charge any of them. So the only opportunity that for discharging this battery through the inverter, and so this one and this one, and this is how it works for discharging the batteries. So if these batteries go under 48 volts, they are pretty much like they don't exist. They are disconnected from the network. I mean, from the discharging process. As I said, this is half of the picture. You need then diodes to charge the battery. So I have here the charger, and the charger just produce the energy to charge each bank of battery as required to bring the voltage up, you know, to have about this batteries, the voltage is about 57 volts during the charging process. And that looks good, but guess what? As I was working with this, in one point in time, I realized, this is the funny thing, this is like when you dig a hole too deep that you cannot see anything, but that's what happened here. I protect so well the batteries that not even the charge controller was able to see the voltage anymore of what's happening, and the charger was off. So after some thinking, I said, I see what's the problem. It was that I was missing this line connection here, so that my charge controller will start to see again the status of the voltage on the batteries, and it will do the trick of charging them properly. So this is how it has been since 2018, in where these two banks, they were fair for a few months until, you know, they no longer can catch up with this one. So this is mostly my newest bank is mostly doing the whole work during the night shift. In terms of how I put these things together, this picture doesn't look, the model number was here. Well, actually, you can see it from here. It's a KBPC 5010. It was kind of interesting. I said, let's put this diode. I went through, check on eBay, and for a single diode, 50 amps, 50 amp, 1,000 volt, what we call it, reverse voltage protection, it was about $10 at the time. I said, what? This was cheap. This was about $1 or so. And the funny thing is, you have 4 of those, and they are good. They are 50 amp, 1,000 volt reverse voltage, so it's good protection, and a good heat sink, which is important as well. So you can use, as you can see here, you have, like, for example, if you have the input this way and the output through the positive, meaning input through this way and the output through this one here, through this leg, you are using one diode, and you know, you can get to about 50 amps. Let's say that you want to divide the charge or the load between 2 diodes. So you're doing a split on the cable, you come through here, and then the 50 amp is divided in 25 amp this way and 25 amps through this diode as well. So in other words, you have very different scenarios that you can put this together and protect the diode, not for killing them with too much current going through them. But for my system, it's more than enough. I mean, I only use 1 diode out of the four diode on the bridges. Here's some current, some eBay price right now. I mean, you buy 4 of them, $645. I mean, for 4 of them, that's good. They're still cheap. Diode have dropped a little bit, $8 for only 1, and I don't like it. They're hard to deal with them. I'd rather stay with the bridge rectifiers, and that will do. Now, this is very important as well. I told you the story about it, and this is the second part of the story, which is what are the parameters for our solar system, photovoltaic system. Basically, as I said, 6 panel, 240 watt, 5.3 hours of solar radiation that end up with 85% efficiency, end up about 6.5 kilowatt hour per day. And the idea was to power the refrigerator and a few other things. So this number was a watt meter. We use, I think it was a kilowatt meter to estimate this number. So actually, it's a true number for my refrigerator. It's about 4,200 watt hour per day. And so that and a few other things add up to find out what is my battery bank size. But one important aspect is that I later on discover the newest inverter I have, the new inverter I have, which is the APC 6048 volts, that is power hungry. I mean, it consumes about 40 or so watts, use it or not use it. For 24 hours, that add up to about 960 watt hours per day out of this that you're producing. So 15% of that energy that you have here is kind of going to heat. So that's important. That tends to be important now. At the time I have the reliable, which this number was very low, very low. But with the 6,000 watt inverter that I have right now, that number is important. In fact, it brought me to the fact that right now I'm in about 30% depletion of my battery bank. I used to be at 30. Now I kind of increase it to 30 to 35% or even more sometimes, 35, 40. So I'm kind of start to tax my batteries a little bit harder since I have my new inverter. So watch out for that one. And anything else more here? Well, that's basically it. Well, the bottom line, if I want to say anything else here, is that my battery were sized for one day. I mean, for one night, actually. If there's no sun the next day, then I'm in trouble. But I have a genset just in case. But that's how I size my batteries. I mean, they were way too expensive, and you will know why. Here we are. In terms of cost, the batteries, the 230 amp hours, 6-volt battery, they were about $1,200. So they're quite expensive at that time. And my solar panel were about 1,000. They're cheaper now. You can get this 230 watt, you can get it, I would not say for free, but they are cheap. I mean, people are moving to the large 300, 400 watts solar panel. I don't care. 240 watt for me is excellent. They do the trick pretty neat. The inverter, what I'm showing here is the cost of the two inverters. The previous inverter, which was a reliable, cost me about $350, plus the new inverter that I have here, which is the APC 6,000 watt inverter. I put them both together there. Combiner box, just to kind of configure my solar panel about, I would say 90 volts, 3 panels in series, and 2 in parallel for my 6 solar panels. The breakers, fuse, charge controller, it's a little bit cheaper now, solar racks, installation, cables, and everything end up about 4,600. The dollar per watt, which is a good, kind of a mark number, 321, just to compare, for comparison, is fair for battery system. Without battery, that number will drop to 2.5 or something, somewhere like that. So, but guess what? I mean, this is a backup system. This is not to be grid tied. This is a backup system. The idea is you have to have batteries. I mean, that's what happened after Maria, 40 days without electricity, plus many other days after they were fixing the grid. The grid goes down, they have to put it back. So I can tell you that we have more than 60 days without electricity since Maria, or after Maria. So anyway, let's say that the energy that you produce with this guy is about 2,000. Let's see. Whoops, energy produced. This number has $1 here. This is wrong. That shouldn't be $1 there. Should be just kilowatt hour per year. This is correct. This has the $sign, meaning that this is how much you save for at 21 cents kilowatt hour in Puerto Rico. I mean, you are in Florida, it's 12 cents, but here in Puerto Rico, it's about 21. And guess what? It's going to increase. They're talking, I hear numbers that they can go as high as 30 cents per kilowatt hour. That's, I would say a bad word, but that's really crazy. 30 cents per kilowatt hour. Anyway, avoid that. So anyway, with that said, I mean, you pay this much and you only recover this, that means that you have an ROI of 9.3, return on investment. I used to work in the pharmaceutical business, and if I go to my boss with a 9.3 return on investment, I would not be able even to talk anything. I mean, return on investment at that time when I used to work in the pharmaceutical was less than 5 years, and the less, the better. So, but there's a caveat on this number, and it has to do with cost avoidance. You see, if it happened that you are in a situation where you are without electricity for 40 days or more, you know, like you are hit by something by winds of 150 miles an hour, and the power grid is knocked down, and you have to use your genset for 24 hours a day. And let's say that I use this Craftman here. This is my Craftman, 4200 watts with a 50% loading. I will not dare to use this guy for 24 hours, but I'm just entertaining the numbers. That will add up to about $50 per day. I would say that is higher. You just check this number. These numbers will be higher. Like for example, in Florida, I checked some of these numbers and they are as high as, let's say $100. But the genset is a little larger. You know, you have a 20 kilowatt genset using diesel, powered by diesel. I mean, 24 hours, expect to pay about $200 per day. Yes, that's another story, right? But what I'm saying is that you have this one, small one, and you run it 24 hours, it's about $50 per day to operate it. Now, the cost of the genset as well, $500. Well, actually, I bought this for George. Nobody remembers George anymore. That was 1998. We were hit by George. George actually is, I think that was a category 1. But it rained and it rained and it rained and it rained a lot. And we were without power for, I would say, 2 weeks at the most, maybe 13 days. So I bought it, used it for the 13 day, and put it in the garage for many years. If I use it 1 hour or so, after that was not much. But then Maria came along, and then that's when I start to use it again during 40 days, 12 hours a day, just to cope with Maria situation. Anyway, so entertaining the numbers that add up to $2,500. $2,500 is not bad from the point of view that this total that you invest, all of a suddenly more than half of it is going to be absorbed by this cost avoidance. So as I said, what I explained to many folks is think about this system like an insurance. If you have it, perfect. If you don't, then you are wasting. This money is pretty much gone. So that's why you better have it, you know? I mean, car insurance can cost as much as this one number here, and you don't see a nickel out of them back. So having this amount of money invested in a photovoltaic system as your backup system makes a lot of sense, period. I don't know what to say about it, but you better have it than don't. And with that said, let me put here a video about my battery bank, and I will be back to you in a second. And here we are. These are the 3 set of line batteries. These 2 here are the oldest one. They are about 7 years old. The one near the wall, that one is about 2 years old. And so the question is how I mix all batteries with a new bank of battery is simple. It's what is back there at the end. Let's see if I can focus better. There's 6 bridge rectifiers right there, and the 3 at the right are for charging the batteries. So as you can see, there's 3 cables coming down,
and 3 cables coming out from the bridges into the batteries. And the one the left, the 3 at the left, are for discharging the batteries, and they take the amp hours from the battery, which are, and we go to the inverter, the 6000 inverter, and that's how the trick is done. So let's see what else I got here. Down here, that's the shunt to measure the amount of amp hours going in or the amount of amp hour going out. I have a tiny here charger. Is used in case it's raining or the sun is a little bit shy, it's not coming out, so I use it particularly during the night shift. And here I have 4 more batteries. I have to tell you, there's a story behind this Golf, as you can see, Golf Cal batteries. I bought these for, the whole bank of 20 batteries. That was back in 2017, and that was 1 month prior Maria, because at that time I have this idea of making my backup system, a 48 volt backup system, and I bought them for 10 bucks. They were used, they were decommissioned, and basically, well, as I said, I bought them, and they were in sort of kind of bad state. They were dry, and let's take a look now how they're doing. As you can see, they got good level of electrolyte, they're in good shape, and but they were dry at that time, around when I bought them for 10 bucks, and so I bought, as I said, 20 of them, and I started to recondition them, and I was cut right from, hurricane hit us in September, so I was able to get them into a fair state when suddenly Maria showed up, and so I was forced to reconfigure them in a 12 volt system, because at the time I didn't have my solar panel, were not there, I have nothing. And I was in the process of making it, but we got hit by the most powerful hurricane in the last 100 years. So I reconfigured them for a 12 volt system. So I put the 20 of them on a 12 volt system. Remember, there are 6 volts. So for my, I have at the time a 3000 watt 12 volt inverter. So the idea was this: during the day, I start up my genset, a Craftsman 4200 watts genset, and I pound that guy for 12 hours, shut it off, and then the batteries take over for another 12 hours. And in the morning I repeat that for 40 days, my friend. 40 days of without electricity. So they were in a fair state, but I pound them, bottom line. When I checked the voltage on this in a single battery, sometimes they were as low as 4 volts. For a 6 volt batteries, going down to 4 volts is a voltage of no return. So I pound them, bottom line. We were with Maria, and since they cost me about 10 bucks each, so I said, well, what the heck. Anyway, after Maria, then, by 2018, I bought this new set of batteries. They are Deca batteries. They are about 230 amp hours, and I bought 8 of them, and I finally installed my 48 volt system with my solar panel. I bought six solar panel for 240 watts each, so I was able to get my system ready. So I picked from those 20, I picked the verse 16 to make these 2 lines that you see here. And I left these 4 out. They were bad already, and they were left for the kind of a 12 volt system emergency situation, that my 3000 watt, my 6000 watt inverter failed or something, so I left that right there, those 4 batteries. And that's how I started. I had 3 banks. Basically, from the first year or so, that means 2018 or so, they were doing fair. Fair meaning that within, I would say within 2 or 3 hours, the voltage dropped under 48 volts. and so the night shift, it was basically done by the newest line of batteries. That's how it was, and it's getting worse now. After the charging step finished late afternoon, these batteries, these two set of batteries, go under 48 volts, and so that one, the wall is the one doing really the work. I don't mind. I mean, this bank, the new bank, is well protected under the bridge rectifiers, so meaning that I will not use the amps hour that are already on this set of batteries to charge this one down here. So no, that's not how it work. It works very different. I mean, as soon as this bank goes go below the 48 volts, they are basically like they are not there anymore. So that's how it works, and that's perfect. That's the idea of having those bridge rectifier. At the end, what I will do, even when I know that this two bank is pretty much out of service already, they are good batteries here. That's very interesting. They are batteries, they are good, or looks as good as new. And even after basically 7 years, I mean, you can see they still have the label. Let's see if I can get this. Sorry for the panning and all that. Yep, 713, as you can tell. So anyway, good 7 years of abuse, I will say, but they're seeing good batteries here, so I will pick them up and do at least one good bank. I hope that good bank has 50 amp hours, good 50 amp hours, to help my 230 amp hour back there. And that will be great if I can do that. I certainly can do. That's the plan. That's my plan, and I hope to tell you how this ends. And that's it. Thank you for listening, and you know, stay with me on this. Thanks. Bye.